Hey guys, and welcome back to Wina Wonders, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and all of that. So this is going to be a collective book haul, and I have a lot of stuff here. I also have some tarot decks and a journal that I want to show you guys. Yeah, so it has been a hot minute. I think the last time that I uploaded was in July, and things have been pretty crazy. So I think my last upload, which I have since deleted, was for a buddy read or like a book club kind of setup. Yeah, so I'm sorry that that never materialized into anything. Right when I was going to do that, I suddenly got promoted at work, and so things were super hectic because previously I'd been teaching English and literature, and suddenly I found myself in a whole new job. It's like program management, which is a little bit more time consuming and more hectic, also more fun for me anyway. Yeah, so I haven't really been able to do a lot of stuff with this channel that I have been wanting to do. And on the sort of flip side, like for my MFA in creative writing, last term we had literary theory and criticism, and okay, it was really interesting, really eye-opening, and I'm very interested in literary theory and literary criticism, and I'm actually going to be helping out my friend Raph, who is going to be doing a book on Concertina Cruz, or Chingbi, who I have spoken about before on this channel. I did like a poet feature on her, so I'll link that video in the description box below. But I'm super pumped for that project, and I'm really excited to be working on that. So yeah, those are the things that have been happening with me, and I'm just so happy to be here and to be filming this video. So yeah, some of these books I have already read, so the ones that I have read I'll be talking to you guys a little bit more about. Okay, so recently it was BLTX again, or Better Living Through Xeroxography. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a zine expo that happens a couple of times a year, like twice or thrice a year, and basically creators from everywhere who are interested in literature and the arts come together and we sell zines. So I do have a new zine of mine to show you guys, but maybe I'll save that for last. First, I'll talk about some of these other zines that I picked up because I don't want this video to be too self-serving and super long. So speaking of Concertina Cruz, the first thing I want to talk about is this zine by her. It's called Minor Figure, and last BLTX she released the first part of this, which was called You Wish. Yeah, so I have read this, and the format of it is that the whole zine is one singular poem that kind of goes through everything, and I did enjoy this. I do like Chingbi's language and like the imagery, and I like how she is always really good at juxtaposing a kind of violence into very mundane imagery. However, I will say that I'm not such a huge fan of the zine length poem, just because I feel like a lot of the energy of the poem gets kind of diluted because of its length. But I mean, I still enjoy it, and I know that she's planning to compile this, You Wish, and a couple of other forthcoming projects of hers into a singular volume, so I'm hoping that I will enjoy that and kind of be able to read each zine length poem in context like of the other, if that makes sense. Yeah, so okay, next, this is Love by Electromilk. So Electromilk is actually a friend of mine from grad school, and I also met him on the BLTX circuit, so there's kind of like an overlap there. So he's a literature student, not creative writing, just literature, and oh my gosh, like he has two outfits. So this is Electromilk, but he also has Erotic Milk, which is more erotic and like sexual comics. But these ones are more like meditations on love and relationships and sadness, and I really like this. It was really well done. There's a part here that I love so much because it's so clever. Here, you can't spell truth without the same letters you use for hurt. and I just found that really emotive. So yeah, really good. I really enjoyed this. Okay, next, this is also by Electromilk, but this one incorporates a little bit more, I guess, like solid logic into each of the images, whereas love just kind of flows. Okay, and then next, I have a couple of fiction zines by Jo Galvez. So just an interesting story about Jo. I actually met her through the Day 6 fandom, so yeah, I really, it was really nice to be able to meet her, and she went to BLTX to come and like support me, and we met, and it was really fun last year. And then this year she was selling, so I definitely picked them up. So she writes a lot of like Filipino mythology based fiction, which I find really interesting, and I think that the market definitely needs a lot more of that. So I began reading All These Shades of Blue, and honestly, like, you should definitely go to these events because I'm really enjoying this one, and I think that a lot of the stories here like read a lot of better than some of the stuff that I've read in manuscripts in grad school. So I think BLTX is the way to go if you ask me. Right, okay, next is KULT. It's a journal of cultural studies, and this is run by a friend of mine. So this friend of mine, Merle, we met because we used to work together, and then I didn't know that she was involved in the literary community, so we ended up meeting again at BLTX and these events. So it was so much fun to be able to see her, and I love the stuff that she does with this and the stuff that she puts together, because this isn't just her, like she's one of the editors, but it's not just her writing. For example, there are lots of essays here on Google and just Facebook, like how fake news and that whole thing kind of impacted everything, like politically, socially, and I'm so excited to get through this. And a lot of this is in Filipino or Tagalog as well, so I appreciate that very much. Okay, so next, this is a zine by my friend Coronel. So Raph and I actually wrote a poetry zine together, but unfortunately it sold out. We started filming a video that was all about that collab, and then our professor walked into the room and we didn't really get to film it anymore. So tell me if you guys are interested in us talking about that, then we can definitely make that video happen. Anyway, this is his poetry collection. It's called Hide and Seek, and I really enjoyed this. Yeah, I think there's kind of like a very quiet poignancy to Raph's poetry, so I think that a lot of you guys on BookTube might definitely enjoy this. So, wow, so it's so bright. Yeah, so it looks like that, and there are photographs in this by J.L. Javier. You guys might know him if you guys are into kind of the celebrity photographer scene of the Philippines. Yeah, I'll link Raph's Instagram and also JL's Instagram below. JL was also the one who did the illustrations for Blonde, which is the collaboration that Raph and I did. Yeah, so really good. My favorite poem in here is called Blurry, so if you guys ever pick this up, definitely check out Blurry. Right, and okay, I'll show you guys my zine briefly. So this is Hot Body, and it's poetry. Yeah, this was illustrated by my friend Leah, or Liana Marie. She's done like most of my zine covers since, geez, 2014, 2013. Yeah, and basically what this is an exploration of riding motorcycles through the city, or riding angkas through the city, because that is something that I do a lot, almost every day, and I just felt like it was something worth the meditation. Or like, what does that mean? What does it mean for public transport to fail so badly that everybody takes this huge risk of riding motorcycles back and forth? And yeah, especially since I work in sort of the hospitality industry now, I guess, because the school that I work for is a hospitality school. So yeah, there's kind of I don't know, like having to look presentable but also having to get to work, and the only way to do that being a motorcycle. I felt like there was a lot of tension there. So yeah, if you're interested in ordering this from me, just let me know in the comments below. Okay, so on to the books that are not zines. First, I picked up On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. So Ocean Vuong is one of my favorite poets ever, and oh my god, like I did not make a mistake picking up this book. This is a novel, and initially I was a little bit hesitant because I find that there's some people who do really well within their genres, but then when they try to kind of transcend genres or like jump into something else, it doesn't always translate, or it doesn't always work because their strengths are so particular to the genre that they're already successful in. So for those of you guys who don't know what this is about, it's basically a love letter to his mom. And okay, I will say Ocean Vuong can definitely write prose, and I think that he can definitely carry a narrative, if that makes sense. I feel like there are a lot of poets who can't really do that because they get so lost in the images and the imagery, but this is a pretty good balance of that. And I feel like every passage was emotionally gratifying to read. Not necessarily in that it was joyful. A lot of this book is very, very sad, but I feel like there was a certain emotional payoff, which I really appreciated. The only thing I will say is that this book can get a little bit overwhelming. I feel like there could have been a little bit more space. Like I think it could have been that bit longer to make the pace a little bit smoother, because there were times when it just felt so dense, and it kind of felt like the whole narrative was forcing you to read it within the span of words. And that said, I'm not saying that it should be a lot longer, I'm just saying that it could have been a little bit longer. So I really enjoyed this. I think that I would probably give it like 4 stars out of 5. Okay, so up next is a book that I borrowed. This is Be With by Forrest Gander. I have not read this yet, but I'm very interested in reading it because, as you can tell from the front, Forrest Gander kind of plays a lot with shape and sort of the way that the language fits on the page. And I don't tend to write like that, but I'm very interested in exploring that as a technique anyway. Okay. Oh yeah, I also bought Life of the Party by Olivia Gatwood. I've never read anything by Olivia Gatwood, but I read some of the poems in this and I find it really, really interesting, especially because there's some poems where she breaks into like numbers, and then there's some things in here that are a little bit more prosy or a little bit longer, and then there are the regular poems that are in verse. So I was very interested in that, and I also gravitate a lot toward the voice that she writes in, so I'll let you guys know how I get on with this. Okay, next is a book that Kevin gave me. So Kevin's my boyfriend, and this is 7-Star Bird by David Daniel. So I've never really read anything by David Daniel, but I read the back, and Carl Phillips was one of the people who reviewed the book, and I do like Carl Phillips a lot, so I started reading it, and it's weird, but this collection kind of reminds me of Sufjan Stevens, like the singer. I feel like a lot of the gospel and country imagery that Sufjan uses are also utilized in this book. So if you like Sufjan Stevens, I think you will enjoy this book. I'll do a more in-depth review on this once I finish the whole thing, but so far so good. Okay, so next I want to talk about 2 books that are published by an independent publishing outfit that I'm really super excited for, called Cubao Editions. So this is Marienbad, etc. by Chiles Samaniego, and this is About the Dying Dog by Paul de Guzman. So both of them are short stories, and I've been a huge fan of Chiles, and it's really interesting because we've never met, but we sort of publish in the same circles, I guess, and yeah, it's just so funny because his ancestral home is really near my ancestral home. So when I was sick over the Christmas break, he actually had these shipped over to my house, or like delivered to my house, or my parents' house rather. So thank you, Chiles, and I'm so excited to read these. The thing about Chiles is that he always writes prose that's very interesting because he uses all of these different formats, and his previous book, which I talked about on this channel, I'll link it down below. It was called Millennium, and that one is formatted kind of like a cassette tape, and the way that it reads is like a labyrinth where you get closer to the point and then you sort of go around the point. Oh my god, like, it was so good, and I'm so excited to read this. This is definitely on my immediate TBR. And then next is a book by Paul de Guzman. So I've never really read anything by Paul, but I'm very excited to read this because if it's published alongside something that Chiles published, I'm sure that it will be very good. Okay, so now I'll move on to a journal. So I have been keeping the same journal for the past 2 years or so, and that's because my handwriting is friggin' like, I write really like stuck together script, so I don't burn through journals a lot, even if I do write a lot, just because my handwriting is so narrow. But I finally finished this journal, and Kevin got me this journal for Christmas / my birthday, and it's really, really pretty. It's not a Moleskine just because in this economy I can't really justify that anymore. I'm like, really, will I spend like $1,000 on a journal? Not really. Not gonna blow that kind of cash. But I really like this. Like, the pages are so soft, and the cover, I feel like I could be touching this cover forever. It's so velvety and nice, and it's just really nice to have like a nice notebook to write in, and it makes me feel like it's part of the new year and I can finally just make videos again, meditate on books again, and yes. Okay, so next, 2 tarot decks that I got for myself. So I really like tarot, and I don't know, I'm not a very religious person, but I do find a certain spiritual payoff like when it comes to tarot, and I've done some videos on that. Let me know if you'd be interested in some other videos. Okay, so first is the Antique Anatomy Tarot, and this was made by Claire Goodchild. And the funny thing is that I actually wanted to buy this off of Amazon, but it was super expensive. It was like 3,000 pesos, and I just couldn't justify it because that's just 2K away from getting my dream deck, which is the Pagan Otherworlds deck. And then I saw this in Fully Booked, and it was half price. It was 1.6, and it was the only one left. So I was like, yes. So far so good. I feel like every deck kind of has its own personality, and the personality of this deck is that it's freaking brutal. Like, I'll show you some of the cards. Yeah. I find that there are some cards that will take it a little bit easier on you, and then there are some that just won't take any of your BS. And I usually prefer the ones that don't take any of your BS because you can always get a straight answer. Yeah, so really good. If you guys are interested in more tarot videos, let me know. I would definitely be open to making more of them, or maybe making a channel for them. I don't know. And then the next tarot deck is the Tattoo Tarot. So this one is a lot smaller, and the book isn't really a full-length book. It's just a booklet, which is fine. This follows the Marseille system, which means that a lot of like the 7 of Cups and stuff, they're just literally cups. So yeah, these are really pretty. They're modeled after traditional tattoos, which I really like, and I have worked with this quite a lot. And this is the kind of deck that will definitely take it easy on you. Like, I find that my readings with these aren't so brutal as the other one, and you know, it's kind of a balance thing. Like, sometimes you want a deck that will tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And then you have some decks that you go to for a little boost of optimism. So this is definitely one of those decks. Right, and that's it for this video. So please tell me what you've been picking up over the holidays. What have you been reading? Yeah, let me know. And that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!